Let's get an update from Utah on the latest in the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Kirk was killed on Wednesday while speaking at an event on the campus of the Utah Valley University. Authorities recovered a high-powered bolt-action rifle near the scene of the shooting. And now a suspect is in custody, a 22-year-old from Utah named Tyler Robinson. He was expected to be formally charged Tuesday ahead of an initial court appearance. Here is Utah's Governor Spencer Cox detailing the discovery just earlier today.
On the evening of September 11th, a family member of Tyler Robinson reached out to a family friend who contacted the Washington County Sheriff's Office with information that Robinson had confessed to them or implied that he had committed the incident. This information was relayed to the Utah County Sheriff's Office and scene investigators at Utah Valley University. This information was also conveyed to the FBI. Investigators reviewed additional video footage from UVU surveillance and identified Robinson arriving on UVU campus in a gray Dodge Challenger at approximately 8:29 a.m. on September 10th.
Now for my thoughts from the bench on this. As I and many others predicted yesterday, a suspect has now been apprehended. We're starting to get a clearer picture of the evidence against the suspect, and that includes messages on bullets, a handprint on the side of the building, and surveillance video. But based on my experience as a judge, here's my caution. Forensic evidence does not lie. But at this point, the evidence we know does not prove in and of itself he was the shooter. It does not prove he was all alone in this. The video does not show him holding a gun. It does not show him firing a gun or firing the shot that killed the victim. Follow the evidence. The evidence and facts must prove the murder beyond a reasonable doubt. At this point, clearly, we do not know all of the facts, but I, for one, will be listening for all of these details as they continue to unfold. Those are my thoughts from the bench. Now, I want to bring back in Madeline Somerville. You and I were talking about covering this case. Every time I flick it on and watch Court TV, there's something new being disclosed, new that we learn. So what are your thoughts about where we are in this right now?
So I think that, as we had talked about over the break, perhaps the investigators here have jumped to a conclusion too quickly, not necessarily even with the perpetrator that they've caught, but perhaps there were more people involved. That's something that I know that national security experts were concerned about here. But they do have a murder weapon, and they do have messages that were from this young man detailing that he had left the murder weapon wrapped in a towel in the woods. So I think here we can just hold off on letting go of the fact that we've solved the case, right? Yes. We can let that go and focus on what we've got in front of us just in case, because you never know.
And I think people need to recognize an investigation takes a very long time because of the thoroughness of law enforcement doing it the right way so that evidence can then be used. And I think one of my cautions or concerns is, you know, something to the effect of was said of, oh, we've got him. And I think it's a little early for a celebration like that, because I think a good defense attorney, Madeline, you and I just talked about this as well, is going to say, you were biased from the get-go. Once you said it was him, you made the evidence say it was him versus following the evidence all the way through.
It actually reminds me of another political trial, which is the issue with Fani Willis, because the accusation against her was when she made that speech at the church that she went to, that she said essentially the same thing, which was, I'm coming after him, without, you know, and obviously it should be the evidence that proves the case and not, you should have the intention to go after someone first.
Right.
And so I think it's kind of similar here, but it's interesting because they're both political, right? You can't have the intention and the facts be two different things. So,
right, and the emotion in it. And so certainly we're going to keep watching, and the evidence, I think, is going to lead to this particular suspect, but there'll be more unfolding, I'm sure, every moment as we learn more.